I'm J.R. Little, and today I'm going to talk about northern fowl mites and how they infect commercial chicken house production and also the PAMS approach when it comes to northern fowl mites and commercial chicken house productions. So, as you can see in these pictures, a commercial chicken house is full of chickens, and this one particularly looks like chickens that are going to be processed for chicken breasts and chicken nuggets and stuff like that. But you have your other chicken houses where they are producing eggs. Um, so as you can see here, a northern fowl mite is extremely small, and this is looking through a microscope in the top right hand corner. And the bottom right hand corner is a picture of a chicken that has northern fowl mites on it. Well, these northern fowl mites are so small that a chicken can have one of them, and you wouldn't really be able to tell it unless you laid that chicken down and really inspected that chicken. You could still probably miss it. So that's one of the very hard factors about northern fowl mites and why they are so hard to detect before the problem gets out of hand. So our first thing in the PAMS approach is prevention. And preventing northern fowl mites is pretty much an impossible task as they are so small, and the vectors that bring them in, it's really hard to detect them that they're even on them. Like, for instance, humans. It's If you had a northern fowl mite on you, it would be pretty much impossible to know because they are so small, and you just wouldn't look that hard for one to even find one. You wouldn't carry a microscope in your pocket so that you could find one on you. And then you have your equipment that could be that could have northern fowl mites on it. And when you're talking about egg producing chickens, you have the crates that you bring in to take the eggs away from the chicken and put on the crates. You have those crates that could have northern fowl mites on it. Another thing that could have northern fowl mites on it are rodents that get into the buildings using little holes that aren't sealed up properly, and that's where we get into our next topic. So our next topic is avoidance. And the main key here is you want to reduce the risk of possibly getting northern fowl mites into your production. So you really want to make sure that your chicken house is sealed up and that no wild birds or rodents could possibly get in the building to infect the chickens and transfer northern fowl mites from themselves to the chickens. Another thing that you would want to do, like I mentioned before, is clean your equipment to the best that you can. This way that you're reducing the risk of possibly getting northern fowl mites into your chicken houses. And another one is to keep the chicken houses as clean as you possibly can. And with any spilled feed that may attract the rodents that could carry northern fowl mites, you want to clean that up to get rid of them. And another thing is that you want to make sure that yourself is clean. So, like if you're wearing boots or whatever, squirt them off and just try to reduce the risk of transferring northern fowl mites into your chicken production from the outside world. So the next thing we want to talk about here is the M part of PAMS, and that is monitoring. Um, this is a very key thing, and mites can spread so fast that farmers really need to stay up on top of them and make sure that they are monitoring the situation as key as possible, and that comes by checking on the birds very often and just picking a few out of the flock and really inspecting those birds to make sure that they aren't covered in mites, and if they are, they need to isolate them from the rest of the pack and really start your suppression techniques, which is the so looking at all this, I have really found that there really isn't a key way to suppress northern fowl mites. So the ways that I've found that you can do it are insecticides, but the problem with insecticides is many northern fowl mites have become immune to insecticides, so they don't really work for them. So the other tactic is to use sulfur, and I found out that when using sulfur, a lot of farmers don't know how to use it, so it's not effective. But to really make sulfur effective, you have to get it spread over the northern fowl mites thoroughly, and you have to make sure that the birds are covered in sulfur. And to me, it doesn't sound like sulfur would be the right answer because of the fact that sulfur can be harmful. But I found, and after reading through documents on the internet, that sulfur was a way that you can control northern fowl mites and get rid of them. So I want to thank you for listening to my presentation on northern fowl mites and using the PAMS approach to battle northern fowl mites.